All right, we're ready to go.
All right, we're ready.
I'll turn it over to Sylvia for our introduction.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're very happy to be holding this concert this afternoon because we were originally supposed to have these performers back in April, and then we all know what happened, the pandemic. But luckily, we have all figured out a way to present this wonderful performance virtually today. And before we get started, just wanted to mention that on December 17th, another virtual presentation, we will have the program Christmas at Marshall Fields, given by historian Leslie Goddard. And before I introduce the members of the Surabhi Ensemble, we need to give a big thank you to the City of Warrenville, the grant from the hotel tax. So please enjoy this wonderful music and dancing for the members of the Surabhi Ensemble.
Thanks, Sylvia.
يا ليل يا ليل يا ليل
was fun.
That was fun.
So, Ronnie, I heard you use the word Chicago in that piece. What was that all about?
I did.
Besides all that Arabic.
Well, it's funny. That was the piece that was my first initiation into the Surabhi Ensemble. And Carlo had sent it to me, and he was calling the song Chicago. And I thought, why are you calling the song Chicago? And I realized it's because they're saying Chicago in it. But I knew the song as a different name, Ya Wahran. It's an Algerian song from a singer named Shab Khalid. And in the song, we do make a reference to Chicago. The verse goes, from Alhambra, which is in Spain, all the way to Chicago, I will seek you. So that's where the Chicago comes from.
We were driving around in a Land Rover in Morocco, and we heard the song, and I heard the word Chicago, and I said, that's it. We have to learn that one. So what are we going to do next?
I think we're going to set up a song that you actually wrote, Carlo, and this is... it's in the Sevillana flamenco dance tradition, and you call this piece Sevilla.
And the reason is, when you make your way back from Morocco and you get off the boat, you usually end up in one of the towns in Andalusia, which is what this performance is all about. And so I wanted to write a piece which is a Sevillana, which is a folk dance, which is in the flamenco family, and it comes from Sevilla. So here we go. Letitia's dancing, by the way.
Leticia Aravena. Yeah. Dance and castanets as well. And earlier she was doing palmas, clapping in a very specific flamenco traditional style. The words that you were hearing as well are actually part of an old Andalusian poem from the 13th century by an Andalusian poet named Lisan ad-Din bin Khatib, set to Carlo's 21st century composition of Sevillana.
Yeah, and so one of the things about the south of Spain that we know is that there was a migration, right, from many places. And one of the places that there's been DNA evidence is Rajasthan, India. So very appropriate that we introduce our friends Bob and Keenery for this next piece.
Yeah, I'd like to welcome our fellow ensemble members, Bob Garrett and Kinari Vora, demonstrating a Rajasthani folk dance.
Are we back?
She's got to give me permission now.
Right. All right. Oh, here we go.
There you go.
Hello.
Hi again.
Wow, that was great. You
That
know,
was amazing.
I felt like we were transported not to Pilsen, but to Rajasthan.
Yeah, for sure. Even more, it felt like a virtual extension of our space here.
Right. We color coded the rugs. It looks like, right?
Yeah, it looks like we color coordinated our rugs here. Great job, and kudos to you, Bob. Really,
Yeah.
for normally we play this piece entirely as an ensemble, and Bob, you were doing the duty of 2-3 musicians there.
Yep, that was great.
Excellent work.
So we have Sakma and
Yeah.
Hanoi.
Yeah, so another piece that this is an original piece that I composed in Paris when I was living there for a couple of years, back in 2004. And it was a pinnacle year in my life, at least, because that was the year I made the decision to truly devote 100% of my life to being a full-time musician and artist. Prior to that, I was in the corporate world, and still playing music, but this was a change and a shift. And I think part of it was, what can I do with my music and talent to contribute to society and humanity in general? And it just seemed the right outlet. And so when I was in Paris, I wrote this piece while peering out of a small little Parisian apartment, seeing people running around and going nowhere. And I thought, boy, it looks crowded, but it's not. So this is a piece I called Zahma, which means crowded in Arabic, and it's an instrumental.
was fun.
Olé, thank you.
Yeah,
That was
I felt like I was in a street in Paris.
Oh, good. Yeah,
So
getting your baguettes.
I was getting my baguettes,
Croissant.
but you know what? I could have been getting baguettes in another place too.
Yes, that's true. Another.
At a place that is tied into my piece, which is the piece called Hanoi Pho,
Mhm,
not pho.
right.
So my piece was based around a street scene in Vietnam, and so I wanted to use elements of Asian music and also some Spanish guitar ideas. And I put it together originally to teach it in a workshop because I wanted to have little parts that I could teach to different students. Some would be easier, some would be harder. But the whole piece kind of came together with Surabhi, and it's kind of a cinematic piece. And so this is my idea of a street scene in Vietnam.
I want to add to that too, just to say that this piece is normally performed with a choreography by our very own Kennedy Vora, who you saw before. But given the distance and the lag of time, it'll be difficult to do so.
So the t-shirt might do a little
No.
something. We'll see.
That was nice. That was a different
That was
version
fun.
too.
Never know what you're gonna get.
That's the beauty of these pieces. You know, what's very interesting is a lot of the traditions that the Surabhi Ensemble represents, more specifically Spanish, Andalusian Spanish, classical Spanish, but as well as North African, African, Middle Eastern, and Indian. We try to find the common threads between all of these cultures, and indeed there is a common thread. Many of them ended up in Andalusia for a long time, so a lot of the repertoire you hear sometimes just easily flows into each other. Another trait that is very prevalent in all these styles of music is the improvisation aspect of it. So sometimes we have to just learn to roll with the punches. That's why you see us playing a lot here without any music. And
we were off the page on that one, I would say.
we were definitely off the page on that one. I will definitely say that. And some things like Leticia did, she joined us in any way that she could, giving us percussion with her feet, with her footwork, with her palmas, and then inspired to get up and dance in the particular part of the song. So it's always something fresh and new for us. But that's not to say that there isn't a classical tradition that exists in all of these cultures as well. We tend to say the word classical music, and immediately it invokes, people thinking about. And that is classical Western music. And if you want to be specific, it can be considered classical German and Austrian music, some of it. But, there are classical traditions in Indian music and in Middle Eastern music that really lend themselves to being open to improvisation, but within a structure. The next piece we'll play actually is part of the classical repertoire, but talk about, we're talking about the Gitan or the Roma people, which some might call gypsies,
right,
that eventually came out of Rajasthan. And this next piece is a classical form called longa, which actually comes from the Roma music. As they were traveling, going northward through Turkey and through Ottoman and Balkan regions, they had a very upbeat style of music that was just kind of adapted to this classical tradition, and they call it longa. So there are many longas in this classical tradition. This specific longa style is composed in a maqam, which is a scale from the Middle East called farahfaza, and the composer is Riyad Asembati, an Egyptian composer from the early 20th century. So this is a piece called Longa Riyad.
But you know what? Something about this piece is that you taught it to me when we were in Andalusia.
Exactly.
We were on the road to Cordoba, and we were actually playing
This last time?
Well, yeah.
Oh, so that's the first time? Okay.
And so Ronnie had been teaching it to me, so we actually played it on a porch in a restaurant on the way to Cordoba. So it's kind of like the road to Cordoba for me.
This is, we will call this piece from now on the road to Cordoba. And let's start off with a little introduction of Taksim, which is an improvisation solo. That was a lot of fun. Great work.
That's always a fun piece.
Is there a dance to this, like a group?
Not usually,
Festive dance,
it's just kind of a listening piece, But now that you say that,
It looks like we'd all be dancing around,
right?
like
Yeah.
that
Especially
moment.
like that little Roomba part that's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just something about it that I don't know. Festive.
Well, it's funny you say that though. Part of the tradition this longer came about during the Ottoman reign, or the Ottoman Empire. The Sultan would do a procession going to wherever seat or arsh is, throne or wherever they're going to, and musicians in the court would play this piece
while he was
as a procession, and sometimes if they were walking slower, they would play the piece slower.
Oh, okay, to match up, yeah.
And if they were walking faster, they would play the piece faster, which is a very interesting.
So it does feel like a group atmosphere. At least.
It can, it can be for sure.
So I think what we're going to do is let Letitia talk a little bit about the Faruka piece, because I think we'll do one more with dance, and then we'll take some questions from everybody. Do you want to talk a little bit about this piece?
Yeah. So the next piece we're going to do is called Farruca, and it originally was only a male flamenco dance from Spain. Only men would perform it. It's just the way it was originated. And I think it was in the 1930s, a woman named Carmen Amaya. She's a very famous and well-known woman in the flamenco history. She's a gypsy origin as well, from Barcelona. She was like incredible, just dancer with her feet and all her talents. And one day she decided not only to dance a male dance for the first time, but she wore pants to dance it. And at the time, in 1930s, flamenco women would dance with dresses or skirts, kind of like what I'm wearing, and no woman was wearing pants to dance flamenco. So it was a big controversy, and it was very powerful for this woman and a gypsy woman who was marginalized to come out and expose herself doing a male dance in pants. So this is Farruca.
And also, I should say that everybody asks, is this improvisational? Well, this is a classic example of a piece where we have a loose kind of a structure, but we'll be watching Letitia for certain things to signal what we're supposed to do in the music. So if you watch her, there are certain things I look for, like a call or certain heel work, and you'll hear me imitating some of that on the guitar. Maybe Ronnie will do something on the oud to respond to what she's doing with the dance. So in some ways, there are improvisational sections of this piece. All right.
That was beautiful.
Well, that was a lot of fun.
That was.
So I think we can take some questions if you guys want to moderate that. We have a few minutes left for that. Hello.
Please feel free to type any questions in the Q&A.
Oh, thanks, Sylvia.
iPad decided to work.
What's that? Oh, it did?
Does our audience have any questions for our wonderful performers?
I might have to type one in. Hold on a second.
Oh, I see somebody on there.
Okay, somebody's on there.
Yes, Julie.
Julie, you have a question that you can type in, or do you want here? Okay.
This is Sandy. I just gave Julie the opportunity to talk.
Okay.
Whoops. And I think I just muted you, Julie. I'm sorry. There you go.
Hi, Julie.
Julie, maybe you need to unmute yourself, or no, we just did unmute you.
Yeah, hi. Okay, hi, sorry. This is like being at work. Julie, unmute yourself. Oh, thank you so much, everyone. This has been fabulous. And in the mixture of cultures, I looked up how to say thank you in Arabic. I already know how to say it in Spanish. So, shukran, jazadan, and muchas gracias. And I wish I knew how to say it in Indian or Urdu, but I don't. So my question is, you have so many influences, and with the Pyrenees being between Spain and France, I was wondering, what is there a French influence in language or music sometimes in what you compose in your performances?
Well, there's definitely a which is just another term for people that are of Roma heritage, that is definitely in France, and really created an entire genre of jazz that they call gypsy jazz. You can look to somebody like Django Reinhardt, who was a famous guitarist, and his style is influenced by the gypsy style, if you will. But there are also to the south of one really famous group that
Well, the Gypsy Kings.
the Gypsy Kings.
They play a.
The Gypsy King, right, yep.
Who's actually playing a lot of that kind of that groove.
Okay, so how do I do this?
So,
Yeah.
So that has got thrown into the stew in Andalusia as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh, so where did you all of you meet? How did you cross paths? You're from so many different places.
Chicago.
Sounds like.
Chicago, yeah, was our main hub. This is
Self-help groups.
we're at
Self-help groups.
Self-help.
self-help groups. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Self-development.
Right.
Incidentally, Julie, if you learn the word for Arabic to say thank you, shukran, one way to
Yes.
say shukran in Hindi, you can say shukriya,
Okay, I don't know what I just did.
Yeah,
which is very similar.
Okay.
it sure is. Thank you. Shukran.
We have more questions. Looks like we have some more people here.
No? Okay.
That was a good one, though. That was a really good
Yeah, good question.
one. What is Bob doing there?
I heard a bell. I was
I did
thinking
too,
something, and then I
yeah.
heard a bell.
Must have been an angel.
Well, I think it's all. I think it's. Am I still on? Am I still unmuted? Because I'll keep talking. I can just keep
You
talking.
can talk, Julie, you can talk.
Oh, and I think it's so great that you're all here in Chicago. I mean, you could be in so many cool places, you know. And why do you decide to stay? And Chicago is a very cool place, you know, and very artistic. But why do you decide to stay here when you could be in so many places?
That's a good question for.
Well, I think we like to visit all those places, but you know how it is. I loved our trip around the globe last year, and it was great. But it was also great to get home. I mean, Chicago does have a lot of great things, and I think obviously we're concerned about the restaurants here now with COVID and all that, and that's really one of the great things we have in Chicago is this diversity of food, which and then that also leads to music and other things. So I think in some ways, this group couldn't be possible in all those other places because you wouldn't have the variety that we do here in Chicago. So it's one of the things we appreciate about it.
I mean, I was
Oh, yeah.
and I learned the music of my heritage here in Chicago.
Right.
I also ended up learning Indian music here, Spanish flamenco, a variety of different styles,
Mhm.
because it is a very diverse city. You know, we
Well, and as Sylvia knows, well, because I learned a little Lithuanian from Sylvia, but the neighborhood where I grew up in Chicago was Polish and Mexican. And so on Sunday mornings, that was, nobody had air conditioning, so their doors would be open and you'd hear the polkas and the,
Uh-huh.
Mexican music, mariachis. And so
What's that, Julie?
it is great for that.
What neighborhood, Julie?
Brighton Park,
Oh, okay.
around 38th and Kedzie. Yep.
you know it
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
My wife is a Polish, and she grew up near Midway, and I grew
Oh,
up on the South Side as well, in Oak Lawn and in the South Side of Chicago.
did
Uh,
you really? Oh my gosh. Yeah, my mom is still in that area. It's so funny, well, I'm kind of getting off the subject here. Is this all being recorded on YouTube, Sylvia? Because I'll quit asking all my odd questions if it is.
It's okay, Julie. Just go ahead.
Oh, oh well, because where I met Sylvia was at DePaul University and in Lincoln Park, and they'd introduce us. We'd meet people there from the north side, and they'd introduce us and say, "Oh, look, here's Sylvia and Julie. They're cool, and they're from the south side. Can you believe it?"
yeah, I know that very well. I'm a DePaul alum myself, and I understand that. um,
Uh-huh.
If there's any more questions, please unmute yourselves and feel free to ask.
Marjorie, Norma, Mark, Charlene, Ellen, Beverly, if you have any questions for us, feel free.
How about any comments?
Or that.
Mm-hmm.
Only good ones though. I
Yeah,
can't,
yeah.
my fragile ego can't stand.
No, we
any
can't.
bad.
Roasting.
Oh, and the dancing was just magnificent.
Mention of something though, because it's inevitably a question that's on people's minds, and then when it all ends, everybody's like, "Why didn't I ask that?" I'm going to just introduce this instrument really quick, and it is called el-oud. El is an article in Arabic meaning the, and oud is the word for wood in Arabic. So it's like the word wood without a W. And if you say the word el-oud and then you say the word lute, they're actually same words etymologically. And the word lute, which is used to describe a lot of the instruments that look like this or the Renaissance European lute, derives its name from el-oud, and indeed its shape and everything else. And the main difference is that the European lute, which you've probably heard pieces like green sleeves, it's originally from an instrument like this. And this is a fretless instrument, so it's kind of like playing a violin or a cello, and you have to use your ear to find your place in it. But this eventually became the European lute, and that eventually led to the invention of the guitar. So this is kind of like the great 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 grandfather of the guitar.
Oh, and it's beautiful.
Norma, do you have a question? I see that you're unmuted.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. All right, well, there's no more questions. Thanks all for coming, and thank you for such a wonderful performance today. It was just a perfect day to enjoy it nice and snug in our homes on this blustery day.
Totally. Well,
So thanks again.
you guys for having us, but also for sticking with us through this difficult time for artists and supporting us. And that was on you, Sylvia. So I really appreciate that. And I think everybody does. Bob and Keenery clapping over there. So thank you. And so thanks to Warrenville. And hopefully we can do this again in person in the future. We would love to do that.
We would look forward to that tremendously. Yes. All right, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you very much.